Imagine this. You're 73 years old, standing at the same ranch gate your father built with his bare hands back in the 1950s. The sun is rising over the Texas prairie. Your cattle are lowing hungrily behind the fence, and all you want is to get your truck through so you can feed them. But blocking the gate yet again is a lifted diesel pickup, engine idling, pumping out black smoke. Inside sits a woman with sunglasses, a fake badge clipped to her shirt, and the smug look of someone who thinks she owns your land. She's laughing as she watches you struggle, clipboard in hand, like she's the sheriff of a town that doesn't even belong to her. This is no law officer. This is Brenda Kowalski, self-proclaimed HOA enforcer, who has decided your ranch is now in violation of her suburban community's standards. The problem? Your ranch isn't even part of her HOA. It's been in your family for 3 generations, predating her cookie-cutter neighborhood by 70 years. Still, every morning at 7 sharp, Brenda parks across your gate. Every morning she snaps photos, waves her fake paperwork, and threatens legal action. And every morning, your cattle stand confused and hungry, pawing at the dirt while you wrestle with her arrogance. Now, most people in your shoes would call the sheriff, argue with her, or maybe just give in to avoid the stress. But you're not most people. You're Ezra Hendris, a retired railroad engineer who spent 40 years moving derailed freight cars, weighing hundreds of tons. You understand patience, leverage, and what happens when you ignore warning signs. And this blockade of your land, this harassment, this is a warning sign. Because Brenda doesn't realize she just picked a fight with a man who knows how to move immovable objects. Thunder Creek Ranch isn't just dirt and fences to you. It's history carved into the land, bought by your father after the Korean War with his GI Bill. Every board in the barn smells like sweat, hay, and hard seasons survived. Every acre is a chapter of your family's life. You raised 2 kids here after losing your wife, Martha. You sent them to college with cattle money. Now you work side by side with your granddaughter Sage, a sharp-witted pre-law student who spends her summers here learning that the best legal lessons don't come from textbooks, they come from real fights. But Brenda doesn't care about history or legacy. To her, you're just an obstacle, a stubborn old man standing in the way of rising property values and big developer dreams. She struts around in her boots, revving her truck, and tossing phrases like community standards, as if she invented the law itself. To the newcomers in the subdivision, she pretends she's protecting their home values. To you, she's nothing more than a squatter on the edge of your land, daring you to challenge her fake authority. Then one morning, things get worse. You find not just Brenda's truck at your gate, but folding chairs and a cooler. She's camped out, turning your property line into her personal tailgate party. Sage has to park a mile down the road just to walk in and help with chores. The cattle mill around the fence, confused and restless, their feeding schedule ruined by her blockade. And when you ask her to move, she waves at you like an old friend, mocking your frustration. Just documenting some concerns about agricultural odors, she chirps, as if cattle manure is some kind of toxic waste. But then the real danger emerges. You learn from Deputy Martinez, a man you've known since he was a kid, that Brenda's been filing police reports. Real ones. Reports claiming you've threatened her. Reports painting you as an unstable old man, lashing out at a poor community volunteer. 3 reports, all with case numbers. She's building a paper trail, trying to create a legal noose around your neck. Martinez warns you, if this keeps up, it'll be your word against hers in front of a judge. That night, sitting at your kitchen table under the same roof that's sheltered your family for decades, you make a decision. No more relying on goodwill, no more hoping she stops. You start your own paper trail. You photograph every incident. You log every conversation, and with Sage's help, you dig into county property laws. You discover survey options, deed records, proof that your land stands untouchable. But Brenda doesn't back down. She doubles down. She recruits others from the HOA, turning her harassment into a 3-truck blockade. Your neighbors start taking sides. Some, lured by promises of higher property values, cheer her on. Others shake their heads in private but stay silent out of fear. And that's when you realize, this isn't just a squabble. This isn't about one woman and her fake badge. This is war. By week 2, what began as harassment has evolved into something resembling psychological warfare. Brenda is no longer content with just parking across your gate and scribbling fake citations. She recruits backup. 2 other HOA board members, Dale Hutchins, a retired insurance adjuster with too much time on his hands, and Karen Fitzgerald, a real estate agent who smells opportunity in every acre of undeveloped land, start joining her blockade. Now 3 trucks, not 1, sit along your fence line at unpredictable hours. Morning, noon, and night. You never know when the road to your barn will be cut off. Feeding your cattle turns into a military operation. Deliveries from your hay supplier get interrupted. Even your longtime veterinarian nearly loses a calf, because she has to abandon her truck on the road and sprint through the mud to reach your herd in time. These delays don't just create inconvenience, they threaten the health of your animals and your livelihood. Every lost pound of beef, every stressed cow that won't breed, every delay in medical care bleeds money from your operation. Brenda knows exactly what she's doing, strangling your ranch without ever stepping inside your gate. But Sage, sharp-eyed, relentless Sage, catches onto the deeper game. While digging through property records, she discovers real estate listings Brenda made back in Ohio before moving to Texas. In bold letters, Brenda promised prospective buyers that Thunder Creek Ranch will soon be developed into premium retail space. The words feel like a punch to the gut. She's been selling the lie of your land's disappearance as a sales pitch, building her empire on the assumption that she could bully you into giving it up. The revelations come faster than a summer thunderstorm. Sage uncovers that Brenda's been filing regulatory complaints with the county health department, the EPA, even the state agriculture board. Inspectors start showing up at your ranch, not because you've done anything wrong, but because Brenda has buried you under a mountain of paperwork. One inspector measures the distance between your barn and the fence line for hours, charges you hundreds in fees, and leaves after admitting your ranch passed every test. Another tests your well water cleaner than city tap but bills you anyway. A third trudges through the mud during a storm, apologizing as she admits she has to check every box on every frivolous complaint. It's death by paperwork, the kind of bureaucratic slow bleed designed to bankrupt you with fees, delays, and fines. And the more you dig, the clearer it becomes. Brenda isn't acting alone. She's too organized, too consistent. This is bigger, much bigger. Deputy Martinez, the man you've known since his teenage years, quietly confirms your suspicions. He leans across the feed store counter one day and lowers his voice. Ezra, he says, she's been asking about competency hearings, financial guardianship, even how the county could force an old man off his land if he can't manage it anymore. Someone's coaching her. This isn't just one woman going off the rails. There's a playbook behind this. That night, with the smell of Martha's old percolator filling your kitchen, your granddaughter spreads county records across the table. She finds the smoking gun. Brenda never registered as an HOA management company with the state. Her entire enforcement campaign is illegal. Worse, Sage uncovers emails tying her to Millennium Properties, a Dallas-based developer notorious for swallowing up farmland. They're paying her finder's fees for properties she helps pressure into sales. She isn't protecting property values. She's a foot soldier in a land grab scheme. And your ranch, with its deep well water rights and prime acreage, is the crown jewel. The anger in your chest hardens into resolve. You realize you're not just fighting for your cattle, your barn, or even your family's legacy. You're fighting for every small landowner who's ever been cornered by developers with deeper pockets and dirtier tricks. They expect you to fold under the weight of bureaucracy. They expect you to give in because you're old, because you're tired, because they think you can't fight back. But they've made one fatal mistake. You've spent 40 years keeping freight trains running on time. You know that documentation beats intimidation every single time. You know that when heavy machinery blocks your path, you don't argue with IT to apply the right leverage and move it out of the way. And you know that the loudest bully eventually exposes themselves when they push too far. So, you prepare. You set up trail cameras disguised as fence posts, recording every license plate, every face, every minute their trucks block your gate. You log every inspector visit, every false claim, every word Brenda spits from behind her fake badge. Sage creates a digital archive, uploading everything to a shared folder with your attorney. What began as frustration is now strategy. What began as harassment is now evidence. Still, the pressure mounts. The subdivision turns into a battlefield of whispers and rumors. Brenda spreads lies online, claiming your cattle carry diseases, your well water is contaminated, your equipment is unsafe. She paints you as a danger to the community, a doddering old man who should be removed for everyone's safety. Some neighbors believe her. Others roll their eyes but stay silent, afraid of becoming her next target. The weight of isolation grows heavy, but then you remember something your father once told you. The land doesn't abandon the man who defends it. And in that moment, standing in the barn with your hands on a length of logging chain heavy enough to move a freight car, you make a vow. If Brenda Kowalski and her developer friends think they can steal Thunder Creek Ranch, they're about to learn the hard way that some old men don't just stand their ground. They fight back with a force that no HOA, no clipboard, and no suburban bully can stop. The summer heat in Texas doesn't forgive, and neither do men like you. By the third week of Brenda's harassment campaign, the prairie air itself feels electric, charged with the sense that something is about to break. The trucks are back, 3 of them this time, lined across your gate like a barricade of arrogance, engines rumbling, exhaust spilling into your pasture, cattle milling restlessly behind the fence. But you're not rattled anymore. You've been preparing for this moment, and unlike Brenda, your authority isn't fake. It's built on iron, chain, and 40 years of moving immovable obstacles. Sage stands across the county road, camera in hand, recording everything. Deputy Martinez's patrol car idles nearby. He doesn't step in, not yet. He's there to witness, to make sure whatever happens next is recorded by the law. Brenda sits in her truck, sunglasses glinting, a smug grin plastered across her face. She thinks today she'll break you. What she doesn't realize is that today is the day she gets exposed. With steady hands, you climb onto your old Ford tractor. Its diesel engine roars to life, deep and confident. A sound that carries authority Brenda could never manufacture with her laminated badge. In the bed of your truck lies 200 feet of railroad logging chain, each link weighing 5 pounds. The same kind of chain you once used to pull derailed freight cars back onto the tracks. The crowd gathers neighbors, curious subdivision residents, even the local paper's reporter, drawn by whispers of the ongoing feud. Eyes are on you, waiting to see if the old rancher will finally bend or finally snap. But you don't bend, and you don't snap. You execute. With practiced precision, you loop the chain through Brenda's rear trailer hitch and hook it to your winch. Sage's camera records every move, every clang of steel against steel, every step of a man who isn't angry, just determined. Brenda doesn't even notice until she feels the first tug. Her eyes widen. She slams her truck into park. Tires screech, smoke pours, but it doesn't matter. Your tractor outweighs her arrogance by 15,000 pounds of steel and physics. Slowly, deliberately, her F-250 skids sideways, dragged across gravel like a toy in the hands of a giant. The crowd gasps. Some laugh nervously, others cheer outright. Brenda's shrieks echo inside her cab as she stomps the brakes to no avail. You don't drag her truck into the creek, that would be destruction. No, you're smarter than that. You pull it to the muddy bank, where the earth swallows her oversized tires until they sink axle deep, immobilized, not damaged, just stuck. Maximum humiliation, minimum liability. When she bursts from the cab, mud splattering her designer boots, Brenda screams about theft, about property damage, about lawsuits. But Martinez steps forward at last, calm and steady. Moving a trespassing vehicle off private property is perfectly legal, he announces, loud enough for the growing crowd to hear. No crime has been committed here. And in that single moment, the power dynamic flips. Brenda isn't the enforcer anymore. She's the fool caught abusing authority she never had. Sage posts the video online within minutes. The caption reads, "Fake HOA cop gets schooled by a 73-year-old rancher." The internet does the rest. By sundown, the clip has tens of thousands of views, shared by property rights groups, rural advocates, and even city folk tired of bureaucratic bullies. The tide of public opinion swings hard. Brenda isn't a protector of community standards anymore. She's a laughingstock, exposed in front of the very neighbors she tried to intimidate. But humiliation is just the beginning. At the HOA meeting that evening, the community center is packed wall-to-wall residents, media, law enforcement, and attorneys. Brenda had planned to stand at that podium as queen of the subdivision. Instead, she arrives mud-stained and furious, only to be served with arrest warrants for fraud, impersonation, and conspiracy. Martinez stands behind her as deputies clasp handcuffs around her wrists. The crowd erupts not in protest, but in applause. Some even cheer. Jake Morrison, your attorney, lays out the evidence. Forged documents, unlicensed HOA activity, emails with Millennium Properties proving she was promised finder's fees for every ranch she could push into foreclosure. What began as a neighborhood nuisance is revealed as an organized land grab scheme spanning multiple counties. This isn't just Brenda's downfall. It's the collapse of a developer-backed fraud empire. The HOA board, embarrassed and shaken, turns on her instantly. Neighbors who once stayed silent step up to apologize, confessing they were too afraid to speak out. Mrs. Olivia, your elderly neighbor with her endless baskets of tomatoes, stands and delivers the line that breaks the tension completely. Loud Duck finally got shot. The room bursts into laughter and applause. In the months that follow, justice unfolds with mathematical precision. Brenda pleads guilty to fraud and conspiracy, sentenced to years in prison. Millennium Properties is fined, stripped of its license, and banned from operating in the state. Your ranch not only survives, it thrives. With restitution, money, and community support, you expand your herd, repair the damage, and even launch a scholarship fund in Martha's honor to help young people protect rural land. But the greatest victory isn't in the courtroom or on paper. It's in the way your community changes. Neighbors who once feared Brenda's fake authority now stop by with offers to help mend fences, share meals, and rebuild trust. Suburban families who thought cattle were a nuisance now bring their kids to your ranch to learn where food really comes from. And Sage, inspired by the fight, commits herself to a career in property law, determined to protect families like yours from ever facing this nightmare again. In the end, Thunder Creek Ranch stands stronger than ever. Not because of lawyers or courts or viral videos, but because one man refused to bow to intimidation. One man understood that when fake authority tries to bully its way into your life, sometimes the only answer is patience, leverage, and chains strong enough to pull the lies out by their roots. And that man is you.